Was there any
Perspective is
documentation
important.
of when it was
Yeah.
provided to Mr. Buddha and his counsel?
Do you mean, do I know when the lead officer provided it?
Yes.
No. So, no, I don't know when DJ provided the document.
Okay. Was it provided to Mr. Buddha and his counsel, to your knowledge?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Okay. When were you made aware that it was provided? What was the latest time that you were aware?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay. No worries. No further questions.
Oh, fuck. They didn't document the FOIA?
Redirect.
Nope.
Okay, Sergeant Gray, you can step down. Thank you for your testimony
Okay.
today.
Yep.
Do you have any more called witnesses there, Robin?
The plaintiff, Langboda.
Okay, fantastic. Judge Pierce, if you would, please.
Raise your hand for me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under threat of perjury, so help you Coyle? He's been sworn in.
Maybe easier that
How are you
way.
doing today, Mr. Buddha?
Brother, I'm doing all right.
Do you recall
Court's team to
asking
solve
for
issues up front
reports
as
regarding your vehicle?
early.
Okay, how many reports did you ask for? If you can recall.
A few.
Okay. Did you get all those reports in a timely manner?
I did not.
Did this hinder your chance at contesting the VAPs on your vehicle?
Yes, it did. Didn't allow me to contend at all.
Okay.
So when I finally got my car back, all the parts in my car rusted up and were
Such a liar. Such a liar.
That's all for the plaintiff from us.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Buddha.
Yes.
Do you know the time that you had requested those reports?
Can you specify that a little bit?
Yeah, what time, like what date, time?
Oh, I know when he's
over after my car.
Listen, I've RP'd with this guy a lot. I know when he's
And when did
lying.
you receive those reports? From the time that you had requested it to receiving it, how long was that time period?
I'm not sure. You have to ask my lawyer that, brother.
Okay. So you don't know the time period. However, you're stating that it was long enough to where you rusted all of the parts out of your car.
Yes.
Okay.
You may need to provide
No, it was the
evidence.
past, not the future or the present.
Understood. Appreciate it.
No
No further
problem,
questions,
brother.
Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No.
Okay, Mr. Buddy, you can step down. Thank you for your testimony here today. It is appreciated.
Thank you, Your Honor. I better not lose.
Any more witnesses, Robin?
None from the plaintiff. But if the defense want to call me up,
highlight any of the evidence you entered into the court?
no, I'll just say if the defense want to call me up, fair enough.
That'd be an exceedingly interesting conflict of interest, the lawyer and a witness there, Robin.
I mean, it's up to them if they want to try and call me.
I mean, surprise witnesses? Are you now, is the plaintiff resting, or?
Yeah, the plaintiff rests.
Okay.
It's hard to point out a lack of, a report being given.
Okay. The respondent is now on to you. You have not called any witnesses, I don't believe.
No, Your Honor, we don't have any witnesses here. The only one would have been Officer Dawkins.
Okay. Would you like to highlight any evidence before we move into closings?
No, Your Honor, just the lack thereof and the lack of timestamps. There's a bunch of allegations, but there's no evidence of anything, Your Honor.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Okay. When are we ready to proceed to closing statements?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then the floor is yours, Robin.
In this case, we have a case of a report not being submitted. In fact, had I known that Mr. Oxby would have been here sooner, I may have called him as a witness, as he offered a settlement in this matter, acknowledging fault. But you know, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But there is a lack of evidence, because that is why we're here. A lack of things being provided. I can't show you what isn't there. It's hard to show the absence of something without showing everything, and that would be cumbersome on the court. Report wasn't provided within the time frame given, and if the defense wanted to challenge that, I did offer them to call me as a witness. They had the opportunity to ask Miss Gray about it. They had an opportunity to get the specific time frame if that's what they're arguing. So
How do they not have the submission time? I'm
There you
so
are.
confused.
that is all.
Okay.
But there's also no evidence that it wasn't
Respondents,
given, that
closing
means.
statements?
Yeah, the first thing I'll address is just the natural conflict of not wanting to call Mr. Furra to the stand. Obviously. Furthermore, yes, the LSPD would acknowledge fault in the settlement, since that was brought up.
Wait,
My
why?
understanding is, and I wish that I had all the officers here to testify today.
Why
It
does
was
this?
outside that time window.
How does the LSPD not have
However,
documentation
how
for this?
much is the part that we wish we could have discussed here today.
What has happened?
Understanding is less than 24 hours, neither here nor there. But yes, LSPD is trying to make every effort, especially at the time of year that this happened. No excuse. We still want to be accountable to the public. We serve the public. We're looking to do that today.
I'm changing
So before
FOIA.
we stand before the court
Again.
We're going to take responsibility.
I'm
for
doing
that
it.
and
That's it.
trying to make our best efforts to still serve the public.
Okay, I'm going to put this into recess while I deliberate. Give me a short amount of time.
I don't understand
Just
how
give
this
us
is.
the win, Your Honor. You don't want to see what happens if I lose.
Excuse me, Mr. Buddha, what did you just say?
What was that?
What did you just say?
I was thinking out loud, Your Honor.
Hmm.
Nino,
Yeah.
you get bored, you know,
Yeah, I mean, brother,
Hmm?
if we fucking wait.
waiting for the deliberation. Put a little something here on the ground for you.
Okay.
Not being given,
Yeah. Well, I have full faith we'll win. There's no way we'll lose. Right?
Yeah, we'll get something. I mean, they even admitted fault in their closing, so it's like, yeah, we did fuck up. It's just up to him how much. So, you get
How much do I owe you for this?
nothing. I'm at a money. I got everything I needed.
This guy, bro.
How much money you got, brother?
Got around $250,000 left.
Okay.
Seems he's ready.
That fast? Oh, that's not good.
Yo, what the?
Okay.
This fucking guy, bro.
Session, I am going to...
Oh my god.
This is a civil liability case. This is a case in which we are arguing a civil case.
What
that means
the
is
fuck,
judgments
bro?
are rendered
That is
upon
maybe
a
the best one he's
preponderance of
ever
evidence.
made. Oh my
I render a
god.
judgment based on what
That is
more likely
too
than not
fucking
to have
funny.
occurred.
Oh my
Here's the
lord.
issue. There's no evidence in this court case. I
Exactly.
don't know if the attorney on record failed to remember that they stated the evidence was pending and gonna come and failed to put it in, or if there was just no evidence available for him to enter, as he kind of alluded to in closing. But I'm exceedingly unhappy with that. I am exceedingly unhappy that the plaintiff, Mr. Langbuddha, hasn't had evidence entered to argue his case. However, However, the PD, Mr. Oxby, in his closing, admitted legal culpability. He admitted that they did this. He admitted that PD did not.
I don't know why he did that.
No evidence proving it. Did not. Yes.
This is why Grayson's good.
I am going to find PD liable on the charge.
They literally threw. Yeah.
I am going to order a relief of $5,000 for the violation of right of information. I'm going to order a relief of $5,000 for a violation of the right to due process. I am not paying legal fees just because you could be bothered to show up today, Mr. Ferreira.
10 grand?
That is the verdict of this court.
That's pennies, Yada. That's pennies. On my ass with 10 grand.
You did a great job, Mr. Grayson.
Holy shit, this is blasphemous, brother. We gotta sue again. We gotta sue the judge.
Okay.
Did somebody win this case or no?
10 grand? Fuck am I gonna do with 10 grand?
Yeah, but it's like a really light slap on the wrist for the LSPD. It kind of like.
What happens if I go punch this judge right in the fucking mouth?
You'll probably get arrested. Well, there's no police in here to arrest you, but he'll probably issue you a contempt charge, probably for more than.
Bro, this is so fucking good. Oh my god. This is this is genuinely the funniest shit I think I've ever seen. This is how Michael lets off his anger. I've noticed. It all goes into making a new book. Each and every time.
It's art. It's not a book. It's actually art.
Dale.
Oh shit, yeah, I got you. Am I what? No. If I
Oh my
if I
god,
shut
bro.
down, the torso disappears, so I usually keep it on.
Oh, it's another one of those.
Masterpieces? Yeah.
He literally replied to Nino. Wait, what do you mean?
Bastards. Cheap ass motherfuckers.
And another one bites the dust.
Foyer internal communication.
Who's he gonna kill?
For that Foyer request. That's the only thing we could have done that's an official document.
Can I ask you something after this?
Yeah, sure. I'm
Okay.
just waiting.
Because otherwise, like, if this is kind of like
for a
the-
question.
If there was no evidence to be pending.
To see if the report was provided to give a timeline.
And they never. So why didn't you motion for delivery? Motion for me to order it given.
I guess that's a fault on my part.
Robin, you may not like that I told you off publicly, but the reality is, a civil case with no evidence is a civil case with no evidence. If Oxby hadn't admitted guilt at the end, I don't know what I could have done here.
But how is there meant to be evidence of a negative? Am I meant to show every document, every file, every folder I have to show?
You're meant to show all the timeline. You're meant to show it, lay it all out.
You know what I did? This Robin, I'm actually surprised Robin doesn't know this. When I did Foya's chat, this is why I did it this way.
I'm not asking the PD to give me screenshots.
This is how I did it.
To submitting, I'm not doing that. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah, it didn't feel good the first time.
This is why I did it like this. You see that?
Like, are you
when I
saying
did
it's kinda
FOIA
on us to,
requests
like, when we make these FOIA requests to like
for my
I texted
attorneys.
You, by the way, today's this date at this hour. I asked you for FOIA.
Nope. That's why I did it this way. You have to document, man.
It's today's date. It's at this hour. Like, is that on us?
Yeah, it is actually.
But then, how do we track something that's internal for their communications. Like, how do we
By
prove
doing
those
it the way
timestamps
that I
besides
did it.
Not put the timestamp of the FOIA on the report.
And government,
Hmm?
internal government communications.
Can we not
are
just put the
exempt from
timestamps of the FOIA on
How
the
are we
report?
meant to get it?
Then ask me to provide it.
No, so the
Like, you
easiest
know,
way
I'll
to
give
do
a court
this
order for it to be
But,
provided.
is to
I
have
think
the
that goes
person
back to the
taking
original
the FOIA
issues. Yeah,
text
it
the
goes back
lawyer
to
as a
providing
receipt,
those,
which
which
is what I
kinda
did in this case. So it gave Robin a receipt of when he requested it.
I'm never
But
gonna
then
submit
when
screenshots
it gets
from German
fulfilled,
email.
what I do personally with my FOIAs is I will share it via the documents in our phone, and then I'll text the person, basically like the saying that I'll fulfilled
Well,
it, and then you can put in the date and time.
I guess as like a thing for the future, though, Mr. Grayson, it's kind of like for the future, we providers have some sort of way to like produce a receipt, like even just a basic text message to them and showing that. Would that be better?
Any kind of evidence would be better than none, right?
Okay.
A long time
Would it
ago,
be
I was told
effective, though?
FOIAs were supposed to request a receipt.
It's
as
still
well
only
in
civil,
FOIA.
right? It's still only
But I don't
civil,
think
so
many people
we've just
do.
got to get
I
beyond
just do
he
it out
said,
of,
she
like,
said, right? We've got to get to
procedure,
it's
to be
more
honest
likely
with
than
you.
not that
That
on a
was the
preponderance of
entire
evidence, on the
settlement
balance of
protocol, was that.
probabilities, it is
Just
more
teamwork
likely than
on
not that this happened.
to make
Yeah.
I
an
got there
SOP.
today because Oxby admitted culpability at the end. That's why he was found liable.
Well, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
And Graham, thank you for the 14 months.
I understand your issues with evidence, right? I get it. And I understand if you
All
want
right.
to hold the line there. I understand that too.
All right.
But I still can't rule on a case without evidence. It's impossible.
So,
I understand that. I just in cases like this, I don't know what there could be beyond what we did when we called Viv and asked her if it happened.
can I interject here?
Sure.
All right.
If you got thoughts, when you're a senior attorney, you've done this for years.
So, couple things. No offense, Vivian's actually been amazing in general when it comes to FOIAs. I don't know who you have. No offense. I have had a lot of problems when it comes to FOIAs. I'm sure most of this circle is well aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
It got to the
That's why you
point.
became mayor.
That is why I became mayor. Unfortunately, as per my understanding, the way that FOIAs have historically been written, it's on the basis that the PD is not required to provide any information unless it becomes a docket case, in which those reports are requested directly. It's been a dog shit system, and we've been working backwards to backfill it for the benefit of citizens. As a consequence, every time I began to write FOIAs, I would actually I would write a document. Like, for example, I'm looking at one right now where I would say FOIA request at 6:27:24 at 11:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the exact set of things that I'm requesting. So, no, and the reason I would do that is you could not trust the police department to do their job properly, not to the fault of to the fault of 80% of the department, if I'm going to be honest, because it's not it doesn't benefit them. Their records are internal. And I think what Robin, if I understand you correctly, you're saying like, well, asking them to produce emails is like strange. So it's almost like it has to be produced internally. My recommendation for all attorneys, and maybe this needs to be like something that personally I think should be sent out to every attorney, is that there's two routes. One is you create a document and share it. Even better, create a contract and make the person that is receiving the FOIA sign it so that there is that document. The even better route, and this is what I did with the marshals because I didn't trust the old regime, is I went to the marshals and I made them give me a report in which I gave my statement of exactly what I was requesting, so that I would then FOIA that as well. So there was not only a record of it, but in the event they didn't do it, I could like sue the living shit out of them.
I think the rollback of the previous FOIA legislation didn't really, fix the inherent issues we had with the system itself, right? So
yeah,
maybe that's something that needs cooking on.
Well, I can tell you that something that probably isn't going to happen, hopefully, is something we push for, and I'd like to hear since we have a lot of, we have law here and lawyers and yourself, I genuinely think that FOIA should work significantly closer to what it does everywhere else, where is the moment you request it after it is past a certain time frame, like 5 days, it is produced immediately. In the event law enforcement needs more time to add more shit, they can still do that by filing a motion on the docket to add a yet another report that may further expand on whatever incident that took place. People having to wait 3 days, potentially more, to get a document about what happened to them is backwards. Always has been. Because you're effectively asking law enforcement to enter in evidence on a standard that even the rest of the United States doesn't operate on. Because if some shit happened 3-4 days ago or a month ago, nobody is going to write a proper witness testimony. You know what I mean? Like, there's been psychological studies on this.
I don't know if the US is the best standard to go off right now, but I get what you mean.
Wait, what do you mean?
I don't. Honestly,
yeah.
just think about.
Yeah.
I quite like the standard of a report is made at time of FOIA request listing everything that's required. Because at least then it's all time stampable, everybody knows what it is. It's all there, right?
And I just mean, how many pardons have you got lined up to write?
Sorry, say again, Robin?
I said, how many pardons do you think you might end up writing? You're going off the US standard.
Oh, wait, you didn't. Oh, you haven't heard. Did you? Were you not there when I accepted? Yeah, I've actually been. I've signed a couple. I think I'm at Executive Order 18 at the moment. So within the first hour of office, I sat down and just started signing shit.
How many cousins and brothers-in-law have you pardoned so far?
Most of my family lives down in Cyprus, so.
Well, yeah, all right.
Are you saying that? Do you think I should introduce pardoning? I mean, that would be a shit show, no? I mean,
probably.
Try.
Previously, mayors had the power to pardon in so much they could, they could offer clemency for death penalties or life imprisonment, right?
Yeah. Vivian, I'd like to hear your input on this. And the reason I'm even bringing up this topic with everybody is because if there is a need to make things better, well, let's do it. You know what I mean?
So, do you mean the FOIA process in general?
So
or do you mean like how to prove like the timestamp and?
I think a little bit of both. My personal stance is that after 3 or 5 days after an incident, that the moment a FOIA request is requested, it must be produced immediately, like right there and then, instead of the 3-day window to allow for law enforcement to add further statements. And that if further statements are needed or further evidence is needed, that the FOIA legislation itself provides the ability for law enforcement to update said report once again and then issue that document once again to the issuing party, or in the event it goes to docket, law enforcement, DA, prosecutor can motion for it to be added. Because
I think what I'd add into all of that is if there was like exceptional circumstances, the PD should be able to like at least request a judge to grant emergency extensions given like, extraordinary circumstances. Because
sure,
happens on the day,
sure,
right?
Sure, absolutely. It's just time and time again, this FOIA thing seems to keep coming down to, and I don't want to point fingers at you guys. I imagine that y'all just here to defend this case. It's like, it's you're requesting something into the void, right? And how do you know if you're going to get it back, right? And
no, I see what you're saying. I think if it's past a certain amount of time, yeah, I think it should be, because I mean we have SOPs on how long we have to fill out an incident or a report, right? And I think, if that's 3 or 5 days, then that's plenty of time to get something completed.
Yep.
So if the FOIA request is made after that, I personally wouldn't have a problem with it being immediately handed over.
I think even the handing over could be done by like county clerks, to be honest.
Honestly, when I was first talking with officers about this too, and this is where I was willing to, admit fault and all that as well, talking with officers, the time from receipt to when someone like asked for it, even that could be a few hours. And my understanding is from depending on who you asked their point of view, it was either not late or within 3 hours or within 24 hours of that cutoff. So even just the documentation of when this shit actually happened was impossible for me to track and have any kind of understanding of. As an outside third party trying to help negotiate this and work through it. And that's why in part of the initial settlement offer that I provided, that was included in there, is to have something in that system to allow for timestamping, because I couldn't even figure it out.
Okay, easy.
Yeah, that sounds messy AF.
All right.
Yeah, it was. So
okay.
The best guess I have is that it was 3 hours late, but that's, I don't actually know. That's just between all the different testimonies I heard.
Do you guys not have like an? So this is something that surprised me. Do you all not even have internal accounting of it?
What do you mean?
Maybe we
internal
talk about
accounting?
that separately.
Yeah. I think if DOJ and PD High Command are willing to talk about putting in a process for FOIAs after whether they agree 3 or 5 days for it to go immediately through, I think that should be an easy process for people, to be fair, because you'll just have someone come in and ask. I do think it might have to still be kept to PD to release it, because obviously we have the circumstances where something may be under investigation. If we have county clerks able to access reports and stuff whilst they're still under investigation, that's a whole nother issue within itself, I think.
Yeah, one thing that has been discussed among some of the legislative authorities, though this would require like IT support, is the notion of I put it forward that if there was, like, how warrants work today, where you put out a warrant and it's got like a clock to it, right?
Yep.
That active reports have a thing where you tick it, and that report is now active for 30 days. Once it ticks off, it now becomes visible outside the realm of whatever it might be, detectives, law enforcement, etc.
If we could set a specific time, that'd be useful across multiple vectors. Think of bail and parole.
Yeah.
Right? That'd be really useful for those kind of incidents.
The other value to that too is like if you were, because let's be honest here, out of the hundreds of reports y'all generate a month, there's probably only like 1% that are probably valuably like related to something active, right? With that kind of thing, you could click, filter all the active stuff, prune things out, and if things are expiring, right, you would think the detectives and those working on the case are going to be on top of that, right? If they needed more than 30 days, literally call a judge, hey, Tommy Tinker is still on the hunt, like murdering people. There's 1 day remaining on this. We've got evidence to show that he's still murdering. We need an extension. Boom. Receipt gets put in, Grayson approves extra 30 days. It bumps up another 30 days,
You're saying you want reports to go public, since they could come down here to the courthouse and pull up any report they want that's over 30 days old?
No, when I say public, I mean public outside the purview of law. Like it would enter into something that the county clerks can handle. So now it's
30 days. It's outside the
statute of limitation.
Right.
Yeah. So it would become like so clerks or even judges or whomever can then just produce the report, taking the burden off of law enforcement because they know they can give it because it is not locked down. this is kind of how it works in other cities too, right? Like, it's there's administrators that tend to handle FOIAs once they hit a certain state.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, something to chew on. But anyways,
yeah, that is something to think about. I put together the SOPs on the FOIA process. I think the only thing that we could probably do for now, while we haven't got the abilities within the MDT, is the last step. Let me just find it again. The last step for the FOIA stuff would be let me see. That we don't share reports via the MDT. We also don't text the link. Okay, it's been asked that officers share it via a document on the phone. That was for confidentiality reasons, the texting thing, because obviously people have their phone stolen. So we share it via the documents on people's phones. And then we're supposed to text the lawyer to let them know, hey, you should have access to this document now. I've shared it with you via your...
most of this problem is just cumbersome mechanics around something that is relatively
the timestamp be added to the
crucial.
Yeah, so then I'm just thinking maybe we add the timestamp to the text message. Because what I did when Robin FOIA'd the stuff was I text him after I'd put everything through into the internal communications. I text him while he was still stood in front of me saying that these reports have been FOIA'd on this date. These are the primary officers. This was the date and time that the FOIA request has gone in. Because it's as soon as it goes in with the person taking the FOIA request, that's when basically the timer started. It's obviously proving it that it gets sent out in time, right? So the only thing that I can suggest until things are worked on with IT maybe is that the officer who texts the lawyer or the person requesting the FOIA also adds a timestamp in there.
Yeah, I mean, I date and sign it, like put your own name on it, because the reality is you can be entered into anyone's phone as anything, right?
Yeah.
So if it's actually identifiable,
and sign it. Okay, I'll look to get that added to procedure. And then make sure High Command are all good with it and put that forward for now. And hopefully we can work something out with IT to get something added to the actual documents within the MDT.
Okay. Hell yeah. Hey.
Maybe like a FOIA processed check button thing.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't y'all have tags?
Yeah, we have a tag, but it doesn't give the date or timestamp. Right. Yeah, that's the only thing. Whereas if like a little checkbox was there, same as what we've got for warrants and then being approved.
Wait, I just remembered. Did Kitty?
Okay. Yeah. So that's the only thing I can suggest for now.
Okay. Oh yeah. This is something that we're actively looking into, and I want to make sure it's good for both ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? I know FOIA is annoying for both parties. One who's trying to potentially get their justice, and on the other end, I'm sure for you guys it's like herding cats. So, all right, easy. All right.
Okay.
All right, easy.
I can do that.
Thank you.
I am gonna have to dash because I think I'm gonna be needed. Grayson, how do we go about the payout?
Bye, Tony.
I'm gonna, man.
Okay.
You okay, boss?
Yeah, I'm good. There's just like a million things happening at once. I got to Michael, I need to pull you aside. Obviously we have the court stuff tomorrow. It's there's also let's go upstairs to the meeting room real quick, and then
probably just have to catch up with you guys later. I gotta make it to an appointment.
Yep, no worries.
Hey, Nino, did you still want to talk to me, or can it wait until after the? I've got a situation.
No,
I
no.
think I need to
That
go
this
and-
is what I wanted to talk to you about.
That was just
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys take care.
Oh, actually, I did.
Take care.
Do you guys not have an internal way to track like the FOIA requests?
So the FOIA requests, we've got internal communications. There is a specific way that those get entered, so that there is, there's the timestamp. You can see the time, the date and time
Oh,
on
gotcha.
them, right?
Okay.
So we go off of that, and yeah, they should be tracked by the person requesting the FOIA. The person
Mhm.
who puts it in there needs to make sure that that person has acknowledged it. So they acknowledge it, and then whatever happens after they acknowledge it is on them. If they don't fulfill it fill it
Yeah.
in on time, then disciplinary action will come to them basically.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I was hearing otherwise, and that's why I wanted to double check. So
No, the reason why we ask for people to acknowledge the message is it takes the burden of responsibility back onto the primary officer. Then once the basically the middleman, which is in this case was me, puts it into that communication, it gets acknowledged, which it did
Wait,
do, and then it falls to that person fulfilling it. If
why did it fall on you?
No, I got called in as a witness.
Okay, okay, all right.
The person,
right.
the primary officer didn't show up, so I now have to deal with that. The person who
Sounds
didn't-
like fun.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, best of
yeah,
luck.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you
Yep.
guys soon.
See you, Viv.
I'm gonna go.